Part 5. Catching up on the drift. The Narcio-Psycho-Sadist Order. The present-day world and its supposedly New World Order is almost entirely established on the lies of history, and it continues to profit in every way from those lies of history. Still, only half that story is being told. There is another story about humanity and how compassion, love and empathy continues to thrive in the consciousness and in spite of all the criminals, lies and fraudsters. It is due to the fact that the spirit of love and universal intelligence does still shine in human consciousness. The fictional thoughts are resorting to worse and worse acts of vandalism and terrorism as a heavy distraction and oppression. Through crime, depression, shame, guilt and despair, the loving hearts are burdened. The worse the world gets, the more people seek escape through drink and drugs and consumerism. More of true humanity is thus comatose or else is comforted in the cognitive dissonance where one balks at a gnat while swallowing the camel propaganda. Usurers commonly resort to terrorism whenever there is a risk to their total control over an economy or whenever their positions of power and credibility are at risk. Usurers also resort to terrorism when they wish to impose a new plan on human societies. A false flag attack from a fictional or exaggerated threat helps to set the scene in support of a military and political agenda of their new world order. Commonly, they establish a few opposing fall guys, i.e. Churchill, Stalin and Hitler, Bush, Saddam and Osama. Rarely do the public catch any glimpse or inkling of the men pulling the political, financial and military strings. The biggest obstacle in the path of the New World Order is democracy, and democracy is a cornerstone in the foundations of universal law. Most so-called democracies deliver a very shallow form of democracy, yet still it cannot easily be totally removed without a lot of people becoming very angry, and as yet those people do still have the legal rights granted by their constitution. Being completely paranoid, even that shadow of democracy to the usurers is continually under heavy attack, who resort to rigging and manipulating votes in every way imaginable if there is any threat their desired puppet may not win. In a democracy, usurers find it necessary to covertly inhibit people's natural human instinct to live intelligently, i.e. cooperatively and lawfully. This is achieved through psychological warfare as a form of covert mind control of the masses. Any political or social movement that might pose a threat to existing powers and their interests is infiltrated. Original issues and actions are watered down, replaced with other less important issues. Key figures are removed and or replaced. Control and mass deception is maintained by creating a democratic choice in which all parties involved are serving the usurers, either openly or covertly. Warped social judgments and perverse normalities of a corrupt and imbalanced world are broadcast daily as an expression of reality for entertainment or news. Even so, the human soul shines through the arts, and it is a reflection of our slavery that the concept of God and the magic of life is more present in the fiction of art than it is in our world reality, where the only true magic for most is money. Jesus can be realised in a film or a painting or a song, but not in the White House. Typically, many of nature's shining ones are now absorbed in the arts, where the least of their skills at least are appreciated and have a chance to influence, inform or enlighten the public. The usurers are and like to employ narcissists. A narcissist is a selfish, jealous and often greedy individual who believes they are superior to others and therefore are entitled to own greater wealth and power than others. The narcissist believes the world must operate in accordance with their own beliefs and towards satisfying their own desires. The narcissist serves one law, which is, do as thy will. The narcissists with most wealth and power are the ones whose will is most likely to become reality. The narcissist world is therefore highly competitive, and every narcissist must continually struggle either to gain or hold on to their existing wealth and power. Narcissists do not understand that power is for sharing, otherwise it stagnates and becomes toxic, as humanity is forced to live under a reverse of universal law, where the gravity of a weight in gold floats up instead of drops down. The reality is that physical gold does not float, but is lifted up on the backs of slaves who struggle to survive under its heavy weight of economic, social and political influence. Covert narcissists are the pretenders, and these are the most commonly found on so-called left of politics. In a democracy, it is necessary to ensure that the voting population are deceived into believing they have a choice. Covert narcissists are wolves in sheepskin. They will lie, steal, deceive and commit every kind of criminal act, while everyone around them is duped into believing they are wonderful and caring people. Covert narcissists are often victims of Stockholm Syndrome. They have an unhealthy empathy for criminals, and as a result are most subservient to psychosadists and overt narcissists. The coverts have a squeaky clean persona to protect, while the overts tend to operate more shamelessly, though even they have their secrets too. The most trusted people to place in position of power on behalf of narcissists are paedophiles, or more accurately, pedosadists. These will do literally anything to avoid publicity of their criminal desires. Pedosadists are by today dominant in every area of public, financial and military office because they can be trusted to say yes to whatever their puppet masters require of them. The narcissists and covert narcissists, be they in power or competing with each other for power, are all serving an isolated and secretive collective of power which is established on their singular law of do as thy will. Fundamentally, their law equates to might equals right, which essentially endorses rape. The narcissist law is a crime against humanity because the law cannot support rape, and therefore might equals right is a criminal philosophy. There is in reality only one true law, and that is universal law of abundance in compassion. The fact is, we do live in a lawful universe, and if we cannot accept the laws of our universe as a gift of guidance to assist even intelligent life, then we cannot survive in this universe. Our lawlessness will destroy us. An intelligence incapable of empathy and compassion is a disabled intelligence and is intellectually and emotionally unfit to preside over great wealth and power. Indeed, only a criminal would desire to live in unashamed luxury at direct expense even to little children who are forced as a result to starve in poverty. According to universal law, a man's will is only valid if it is lawful. Included in the mix of psychologies in power are socio-psychopaths and psychopaths. These are very similar to covert and overt narcissists, and they most easily and willingly perform the often sadistic tasks dictated by the narcissists, who rarely want to get their hands dirty in the business of slavery, child abuse, slaughtering and robbing people. Regardless of whether they are a psychopath or a narcissist or both, all those psychologies are sadistic. They enjoy feeling superior to others. It gives them pleasure to witness or inflict suffering in others. They will attack, accuse, intimidate, slander and oppress anyone they see as a threat. Most threatening to them are any humans who display both intelligence and compassion. By today, the psychopaths and narcissists have established an ideology which informs the public that empathy and compassion are a sign of weakness and low intelligence. Empathy and compassion are commonly degraded and confined to inferior genders as being feminine, gay, or else childish. This means the bankers receive social respect for their cruel and calculating ruthlessness that will leave millions jobless and homeless at the stroke of a pen. The politicians who mercilessly bomb nations on a whim are given national acclaim as a strong leader. Their impact on and cost to humanity is considered pragmatic and necessary. The public are persuaded to believe that numbers are more important than people, and that people must be forced to balance the bankers' numbers regardless of who is responsible for the imbalance. The narcissist corporations only like a government they can fully control. They do not like governments who serve the people. Due to narcissist pressures, present governments are busy divesting themselves of their traditional responsibilities towards serving the people. The only people they serve are the corporate people. The workforce is calculated as stock. The stock must deliver a profit, and when the bankers are in debt, the stock needs to provide more while receiving less. The law is thus reduced to supporting a thoroughly legal system of thrift in austerity. The narcissist psychopathic usurer elite are aware life is not fair, and much of life is vulnerable and therefore is judged by them as weak. They surmise from this that humans bereft of care or conscience have a right to profit from and exploit life's vulnerabilities and unfairness in every which way possible, and even to create and maintain levels of vulnerability and unfairness that are most advantageous to the elite. They refuse to accept that universal law upholding, e.g., human rights, is needed precisely because life is not fair, and therefore intelligence finds ways to ensure that a society functions in a humane, civilized ethos of right equals might, where the strongest endeavour to assist the weakest, and where every human's basic needs for law, food, water, clothing, housing, education, fuel, transport and healthcare get satisfied. Once a ruling consciousness is established, multiple generations of humans are born into it, and whether they are narcissist, psychopathic or not, their minds and hearts will be conditioned to accept the long-established narcissio-psychopathic perspectives with judgments as normal and intelligent. The elitist mantras are absorbed and espoused by those born on the receiving end of theft. Devoted and brainwashed followers of a pseudo-religious cult legitimately pick up on where their forebears left off. Many among the privileged never find reason to question why. They breeze through childhood into college, university, and settle into the comforts of a family, a profession, develop a specialised interest in botany or geology, etc. Very little of the greater harsh reality touches their lives, and even if it does, the experience is fleeting and the problems too complicated for them to address. They give some money to charity, support a particular cause or politician, while generally getting on with enjoying their privileged lives. Those who most strongly stand against universal law refer to themselves as the political right, when in reality they are extremists who will at any opportunity resort to making slaves of the workforce. Commonly, their laws are established to incriminate the poorest and to protect the richest, i.e., like the war on terror, a war on drugs serves not only to increase addicts, but also to fund and operate a criminal underworld in which networks of both rich and poor, professionals and non-professionals alike, will earn power and profits via illegal drugs. By necessity, police, intelligence, military, customs, judges, lawyers and politicians are regularly recruited to participate in such criminal groups. Those who most strongly stand against the far right are considered as far left, and these are also extremists who believe that everybody should live the same, believe in the same faith, or else follow no faith but the ideology of a state-enforced equality, where everyone is commonly poor and no one is allowed to travel without a permit or own a business card or earn more of a wage than another. The reality is that both extremes, though opposite, do actually serve the same body of consciousness as its left and right hands. Either way, the bankers continue to exploit via their usury through interest raised on the strength of their lending and borrowing. Moderate and right and left politicians are generally the most popular, with some from both sides branching into liberalism or ecology as the Green Party. All of these nonetheless are fully indoctrinated with narcissist beliefs, propagandas and agendas. Democracy is thus usurped into serving a system of party politics in which would-be leaders compete for votes on strength of their policies, all of which are equally compromised and/or favoured depending on whose interests they best serve. Those who do not affiliate with the politically and media-endorsed parties are left marginalised and with little or no funding or publicity. All of this leads to a political culture in which the richest people have the loudest voice and influence. The majority poor are left voiceless and ignored as an intelligence. They vote Democrat or Labour, only to be left feeling betrayed because, unknown to the electorate, the left is heavily infiltrated by covert narcissists who will collectively stand against those who genuinely strive to serve the general workforce. The public are thus persuaded to vote the right, as at least honest. The political parties are a facade of choice when a society is completely at the mercy of the usurers and their historically established finance. In contrast, a lawful society founded on the concept and reality of universal law will support a healthy mix of both rich and poor, in which all are nonetheless comfortable and cared for, educated and respected. No one is considered too rich to prosecute or too poor to receive their legal and human rights. In a lawful society, the more wealth or power an individual has, so all the more responsible they are expected to be in upholding the law and rights. The basic ideology of the usurer political right is that not everyone is entitled to education or welfare or gainful employment. According to them, rich people's children are more important and more intelligent than poor people's children. Regardless of who gets elected as president, poor children will receive less acceptance, less respect, less education, less health care than rich children. This unbalance, unfairness, is accepted as a natural feature of life, which is considered to be naturally competitive, so that only the fittest of the fittest shall survive, win. Losers are judged to be worthless. Today, we understand that life thrives not through competition, but by a system of cooperation, abundance, self-sustainability, interdependency, and benefits gained through compassionately exploiting opportunities for further improvements that arise from addressing any problems.